Hi, bass player Greg Silva here today on the Greg Silva Music Channel. I'm glad you could join me. This is the second lesson, part 2 of the modes. There's a previous video in between these two, helpful hints on practicing these. If you haven't seen it and you have a little trouble with the first one, please check it out. If you have any trouble with these lessons, any questions that seem unanswered, they will be answered in upcoming lessons, but you can also contact me at through my website email at lessons@gregsilva.net. And once again, I will be doing Skype lessons coming up in the near future. It's September 2019, sometime in October. And also I do studio lessons at my studio in Boston, South Shore. That being said, what we're going to do today is you should have all the modes through all 12 keys down. If you don't, keep working with it. It wasn't long since in between lessons here. But this is definitely here to use. What we're going to do today is see how they sound against, the modes sound against the chords. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to pick the second degree, the second mode, Dorian, which goes over a -7 chord. If you just remember, major 1, Ionian, minor 2, Dorian, minor 3, Phrygian, major 4, Lydian, dominant 5th, Mixolydian, minor 6th, Aeolian, and half diminished 7th, Locrian. Okay? So we're going to pick the second. The reason I'm picking the second is because there's 3 minor scales with it. That's the most of the bunch. There's 2 major. And so it gives a little more variance. So when we do this, I'm going to play these straight up and down, which is what you should do. But I'm going to start them all in D, because I'm going to use a backing track of D minor 7. Okay? And if you have, I'm looking at Band in the Box, if you have like a GarageBand, or you can sustain something on a keyboard. You can be as basic as get your cell phone and record, or loop, or just play over and over again the D minor 7 chord. We will get into chords on voice for bass in the near future. So here we go. I'm going to just play these straight up and down to stop so you can hear them. Yeah, let me see if my drummer's awake in Band in the Box. Okay. I like him. He's only paid once and he shows up on time. So, inside joke. Okay, here we go. So here's Dorian. It's okay, phrase 2, kind of not like, like picks up with. Okay, now Phrygian. Okay, Aeolian. Okay. Now the differences are subtle. To me, as I hear, the one that sticks out the most is Lydian. Phrygian. Apologize. Because of the flat 2. It's got the flat 2 in the minor 2 flat 2 and the minor 6 flat 6. To me, the most ear-friendly. I love Aeolian. I'm a Stanley Clarke fan, so I love Aeolian. Aeolian is probably my favorite of the 3, to be honest with you. But they say the most comfortable over the D for the listener's ears over D minor 7 is Dorian, because of the natural 6. It makes a nice approach, nice melodic approach to the 7. With the other 2 have a minor 6. This was. So it's that. Okay? And or approach. You can actually do both. We'll talk about that later. So now what I'm going to do is, like I said, just keep going back and forth. And now we're going to just mix the notes up. Okay? Try to put some phrasing to it. This is not necessarily a solo. I'm going to put any chromatic approaches in it. No really connecting notes. Just bare knuckles mode, like scale notes that are in the scale, the chord tones, everything. Just the mode, which can be challenging because as you get going, you just always want to connect and get moving. But just stick to it. So you just hear what it's about. Later on, we're going to add that in. It's going to make it beautiful. It's going to make it flow. And then after I do that, I'm going to mix them up. I'll stop between Dorian and Phrygian, go back and forth. I'll mix up Dorian, okay? Then I'll mix up, start doing phrasing with Phrygian. Then I'll start doing phrasing with Aeolian. And then we'll start mixing them all together. So here we go. So just mixing up each one. Starting with Dorian. Now Phrygian. Aeolian now. Okay, that's basically the three just playing, like trying to be melodic just within the mode. It's kind of a solo, but not really letting it, connect it and let it really go. It's not one of these things like, check out this cat on YouTube, man. He's ripping up the modes. It's taking the world by storm. Slow down what he's doing. It's basically so you can hear what's going on, and he's hearing how it's applied and hear the colors. And it's okay to put vibrato and phrasing. And as you saw, I'm actually going above and below the octave. Definitely do that. I mean, we should definitely play these all octaves, each one of these, all keys, which is another point I'm going to get to also, if you haven't done it. I'm sure you've done parts of it, but we'll get to it. Go above and below. As you do these, another point to make up too is if you haven't got each one of these modes through the cycle of fourths to fifths, for instance, Ionian you should have by now with this level, the major scale through all 12 keys in order. If Dorian's new, or these scales are new, which some of them I guarantee are, some won't be. Like I would think Aeolian, most people at this point should know is the minor scale. But play them all individually, okay? Like Dorian, Dorian C. Or I'm using a different finger on that. You might have noticed because I'm actually moving using the third in a different spot. Just because I'm doing it with the other two modes, it flows a little more fluently. So that being said, do Dorian all 12 keys. Then do Phrygian, all 12 keys, and so on. So you've got them all starting with one, not just through the harmony, but all individually. That's key. And if that somehow got lost, definitely do that. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to mix it up. And here we go. Okay? And there's some interesting things that happen during this I'll talk about also. Now drum is back. Okay, I'll start with Dorian and Phrygian. Okay, that's the two mixed together, okay? Which I'm actually able to hit. The flat 6, minor 6, and the natural 6. Okay? Now we throw in Aeolian with the other two. Okay? That creates a lot of creativity, but it also creates advantages and disadvantages because you have to navigate. Without the chromaticism we're talking about, you're going to navigate, but it also helps you master the modes. Now, as you can see, if I combine all these together in one giant scale, this is what I'm going to get. The 1, the flat 2 and minor 2 from Phrygian, the 2 from Aeolian and Dorian, the minor 3 from all 3, the 4, which they all have, the 5, which they all have, the minor 6, which Dorian and Aeolian have, the natural 6, which Dorian has, the 7. So once again, one of the big ones is basically the flat 6 that Phrygian and Aeolian have, and the natural 6 that Dorian has. So that it creates like a okay, which actually sounds kind of cool over the chord. It sounds like some kind of bebop scale. But what you want to do with this stuff is, when we think in the modes, is we want to do a function to these notes. We just don't want to run this chromaticism, like random chromaticism, which sounds cool, fast and all that stuff. It's kind of happening. But musically, as you get into it, it's going to sound one-dimensional. So I mean, like if I got that note from Phrygian, that's actually an approach note, a chromatic approach to the root. And if I go from that into its third within Phrygian, it's like a whole step approach. And if I go from Dorian and Aeolian into either the root or the third, it's like a whole step above approach, which we're going to get at these approaches as we go along as we get into the jazz approaches. And then it's not just a second into the minor third, it's actually a chromatic approach. So you kind of mix in between the two. Okay, and then even with the thirds, sorry, the sixes, so I apologize. Like this guy, the flat 6, it's a chromatic approach from above to the 5. Okay, if I go from like that's whole step, or if I do like my minor 6 to my flat 6 into the natural 6 is chromatic. So these actually have purpose if you really want to get your head around it too much. But this is a key point too. You can think too much about the stuff and it'll interfere with creating. I'm just trying to rip things down to the skeleton for you, so it makes sense. Hope I didn't confuse you on that one. If you get confused, it's natural. But the thing is too is we're trying to solve that. Is once you start getting these guys going, like I'm saying, there's a lot of different combinations you can use. You might tell yourself like, I'm mixing all these up. That's actually awesome. That's great. That's what you want to do. You want to mix them up. You just want to let them flow. But you want to have control over it. You just don't want, like, not know what's going on. Just there's notes all over the place. And if you do hit a note that's wrong, like once again, like I've heard Victor Wooden say, and I've said for years, just from personal experience, being on a gig, going for that big money. Here we go. Oh, all right. It's you're one half step away from where you want to be, and you're also one lesson away from where you want to be. And I hope you definitely get something out of this. There's more to come. Okay, we're going to be applying this, I said, to tunes, songs, and soloing over different changes and using one mode reverse one chord with all the modes being applied over it. And we're going to find a way to do that. Once again, how does that work? You got to stay within the chords of the diatonic harmony to get that to work. You get into sixes, flat nines, all that kind of stuff. It's not going to work. But there's a way to do it that gets you all over the fingerboard and keeps you creative. Keep creating, keep going, keep practicing. Until next time,